Ever notice how money news suddenly feels connected to things far beyond your paycheck? One morning you check gas prices and they jumped again. Groceries cost more. Your investments feel shaky. And somewhere on the news, analysts are talking about wars, oil routes, sanctions, and global power. It all sounds distant, yet your wallet feels it immediately. Here is the uncomfortable question most people never ask. What if these events are not random? What if behind the headlines there's a simple financial truth about who controls the flow of money? Because when the flow of money shifts, everything changes. Prices, jobs, investments, even national decisions. And once you see that pattern, the world stops looking chaotic and starts looking like a financial chessboard where every move affects ordinary people more than they realize. And understanding that game may be the most important financial skill of this decade for investors. Here is the contrarian insight most people miss. Wars, sanctions, and global conflicts are rarely only about ideology. They are often about controlling the highways where money travels. Think about oil, shipping lanes, payment networks, and reserve currencies. Whoever controls these channels controls enormous financial power. When a country controls the currency used to buy oil, trillions of dollars must flow through that system every single year. That creates demand for the currency, strengthens its economy, and gives its government leverage over everyone else. So, when analysts talk about geopolitics, investors should hear something else. Financial infrastructure, because the real battle is not always territory. The real battle is deciding which system the world must use to trade, pay, and store wealth. And that choice shapes the global economy quietly. Imagine the global economy as a giant system of pipes carrying water. But instead of water, the pipes carry money. Some pipes are tiny local ones, like your paycheck flowing into a bank account. Others are massive pipelines moving billions of dollars through oil trades, currency markets, and international banks. Now picture a powerful valve sitting on the biggest pipe. Whoever controls that valve can slow the flow, speed it up, or shut it off completely. That valve might be a shipping route, like the Strait of Hormuz. It might be a payment network, like the global banking system. Or it might be the currency everyone must use to buy energy. When the valve turns, pressure builds everywhere else in the system. Prices rise, markets panic, governments react, and ordinary people feel it through higher rent, higher gas prices, and unstable investments. Understanding money means understanding who controls the valves. Before understanding this idea, most people see global events like random storms. Oil rises, markets fall, politicians argue. The news calls it uncertainty. After understanding the flow of money, everything looks different. You start seeing incentives instead of accidents. Before, a conflict in a distant region seems unrelated to your finances. After, you notice that the region might control a trade route, a commodity supply, or a currency pipeline worth trillions. Before, higher fuel prices feel like bad luck. After, you recognize how restricted supply or disrupted shipping pushes prices upward. This shift in mindset is powerful because it replaces confusion with structure. You stop asking only what happened. You start asking who benefits from the movement of money. And once that question becomes your habit, financial news stops being noise. It becomes information about incentives, power, and the systems quietly shaping your financial future. That awareness changes how you invest and prepare for what comes next in the economy. Research from the International Energy Agency shows that roughly 20% of the world's oil passes through one narrow passage in the Middle East. When traffic through that route slows, even slightly, global energy markets react almost instantly. In past disruptions, oil prices have jumped more than $20 per barrel within weeks. That change alone can ripple through transportation, manufacturing, and food production. For investors, the lesson is simple. A small choke point in the financial or physical supply chain can move trillions of dollars. That is why governments watch these routes so closely. They are not just geography, they are pressure points in the global money system. Understanding this helps investors stay calm when headlines suddenly shake markets worldwide. Simple math makes the impact clearer. Imagine oil trading at $70 per barrel. Now imagine a disruption that pushes the price to $90. That $20 increase may not sound huge at first, but the world consumes roughly 100 million barrels every single day. Multiply that extra $20 by 100 million barrels, and the result is $2 billion additional dollars moving through the system every day. Over 1 year, that becomes more than $700 billion in shifted cash flow. Who receives that money? Oil producers, energy companies, and the governments connected to them. Who pays? Airlines, trucking companies, manufacturers, and ultimately consumers buying groceries and fuel. The math shows why controlling supply routes matters so much. A small change in flow can redirect hundreds of billions of dollars. And when money moves on that scale, markets respond fast. Investors reposition, and entire industries feel the pressure. History shows these shifts can reshape economies faster than most people expect or imagine today globally. Realizing this leads to an identity shift. Most people behave like spectators. They watch headlines, react emotionally, and assume global events are unpredictable. But investors who understand money flows act differently. They behave like analysts studying a system. Instead of asking whether news is scary, they ask where capital will move next. If energy prices rise, they examine energy companies. If supply chains break, they look at logistics firms. If currencies strengthen, they evaluate exporters and importers. This habit transforms investing from guessing into pattern recognition. You stop chasing hype and start tracking incentives. Over time, your identity quietly changes from consumer to capital observer. Consumers experience price increases. Capital observers look for where the additional money is flowing, and that perspective often reveals opportunities hidden behind frightening headlines. Investors who stay calm during uncertainty frequently position themselves before the crowd notices the shift in money flows across markets and economies worldwide today that reward patience and disciplined thinking long term. Living in a world shaped by money flows affects everyday life more than most people realize. When energy costs surge, companies adjust budgets. Hiring slows. Shipping becomes expensive. Products quietly shrink while prices climb. Workers may not hear the phrase supply disruption, but they feel it through layoffs, reduced hours, or higher living expenses. Investors see another layer. Higher oil prices might lift profits for energy firms. Defense companies may receive larger contracts during global tension. Commodity producers may benefit when supply tightens. At the same time, airlines, transportation companies, and manufacturers often face higher costs. Careers shift as well. Entire industries expand while others contract. A young engineer might find new opportunities in energy technology. A logistics professional may suddenly become valuable when supply chains struggle. Even personal budgets change. Families drive less, delay travel, and reconsider major purchases. All of this begins with one simple trigger: a disruption in how money and resources move through the world. Understanding that connection helps people prepare instead of panic. Those who understand these forces often make calmer decisions about careers, investments, and spending, while others react emotionally to headlines they barely understand in the moment, creating advantages over time for them. However, there is a common mistake people make once they learn this idea. They start believing every global event is secretly engineered for profit. That extreme thinking is just as dangerous as ignoring financial incentives completely. Not every crisis is planned. Not every conflict is about money alone. The real skill is recognizing incentives without turning them into conspiracy thinking. Investors who stay grounded focus on measurable effects: prices, supply, demand, and policy decisions. They watch how markets react rather than guessing secret motives. When oil rises, they study companies and industries affected by that price change. When currencies strengthen, they analyze exporters and international trade. Staying analytical protects investors from emotional overreactions, because markets punish panic far more often than they reward dramatic predictions. Smart investors remain curious, skeptical, and patient while following the movement of money through industries, countries, and financial systems around the world today and tomorrow. The deeper lesson is about opportunity cost. Whenever trillions of dollars shift direction, new opportunities appear somewhere else. If energy becomes more expensive, renewable technology may accelerate. If shipping routes change, new ports and infrastructure become valuable. If currencies strengthen, exporters adapt, and investors reposition. Money never disappears. It simply moves. The challenge for investors is deciding where it will move next. History shows that major geopolitical shifts often create entire decades of economic change. Energy booms, technology races, infrastructure projects, and defense spending cycles can last for years. Those who recognize the direction early often benefit the most. Not because they predict every event perfectly, but because they understand how incentives guide capital. And capital, over long periods, shapes the world we live in. Investors who follow those flows carefully can position themselves ahead of large economic waves instead of reacting after the opportunity has already passed them by. The world can feel chaotic when headlines mix politics, conflict, and markets. But underneath the noise, one rule remains consistent: follow the flow of money. When you understand where capital is moving, you gain clarity that most people never develop. That clarity helps you invest smarter, react calmer, and plan further into the future. If you enjoy breaking down big global events through the lens of finance, make sure you subscribe to Credit Clever. Like the video, share it with someone curious about money, and join the community that looks beyond headlines to understand the financial forces shaping our world. Because knowledge of money gives you power over your future.